Welcome everybody. Thanks for logging on tonight for the Game Day event session. Can I just get somebody to pop their hand up to say that they can hear me and see me okay?
Beck, you're good.
Thank you. It's fantastic getting so many people online tonight on a Friday, and do appreciate your time. Again, for most of you or some of you, it's probably the second or third time you've jumped on a little Athletics New South Wales session. This was another session that we had planned to host live at the conference, which was unfortunately, as you know, cancelled. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the various lands on which we gather tonight, and the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people participating in this workshop. I pay my respects to the elders past and present, and recognise and celebrate the diversity of Aboriginal peoples. Just a few housekeeping rules. You would have seen the front screen. If we can have everyone just have their mics on mute throughout the presentation to avoid any distractions. We have quite a few people on. I think we're at 79 at the moment. So if we can have your videos, your cameras off as well, that helps with the feed. If you haven't already, head over to the view function and put it in speaker view. That way it gives you a better view of the presentation that's coming from Rory from GameDay. If you've got any questions, pop them into the chat function. We may not be able to answer them all tonight, as those who were present in Wednesday night session didn't get the opportunity to have everything answered. The best what we found is compiling a spreadsheet and FAQs to send to you at a later date. The chat function is also being recorded as long with this session. So from here, I'm going to hand you over to Rory from GameDay. Now he's going to run us through the capabilities of the new platform on how to set up events and the differences between what we've had previously and what we've got now. It's very exciting. It's probably not going to nut down to the practicals or the operational side of what you were after on Wednesday on the how-tos. Gives you an overview of what's going, and I'll leave that up to Rory. Well, let me find Rory and our participants and hand the screen over to Rory. Won't be a second. Okay. Sorry, everybody. I've just got the chat function in the participant space. Here we go. All right, it's all yours, Rory.
Thanks, Beck. Appreciate that. And evening, everyone. Appreciate everyone jumping online on your Friday night. So for any of you who were present at the Wednesday session, this will be a sort of a similar process. We'll be going through an end-to-end process for setting up events. So as opposed to the memberships and the registration side of things, we're just looking at self-contained events this time. Now, again, just to reiterate what Beck said, we'll do our best to answer as many questions as we can sort of towards the end of the session, but we'll also get out to you with the written responses there from the chat. So keep firing away those questions, and we'll get to them either tonight or on Monday. So to begin, I just want to give you a bit of an overview. Again, we covered a little bit of this stuff. There'll be a little bit of overlap from the Wednesday night session, but if you want to review any of those videos, they'll be made available as well. So as an overview of GameDay, a lot of you would know from the last session, we land here on the dashboard. Just as a side note, we are looking into a slight issue with some dashboards coming up as blank, which was some of the feedback that a few of you gave on Wednesday night. So I appreciate that feedback coming through, and our guys are onto that for any of you guys experiencing that. But to give you an overview, this is what we'll see. So we'll see a reporting dashboard. Now you'll see that this one has information on membership and events. So you've got a bit of a blend there. From the event side of things, you can see a breakdown via bar charts and pie graphs and things like that. On the breakdown of categories, so how many events you've got, breakdowns of your genders and your age groups. So the more data that you get through the system, the more that'll start to fill out. Now, the other functions we've got available here as an overview, you've got all your modules on the left-hand side here. It's my organisation, a bit of org housekeeping, finances, some general settings, things of that nature. You've got memberships, so managing your member lists and your products and forms as we went through on Wednesday night. And then your events, which obviously we'll jump into in a bit more detail tonight, and your reports as well. Along the top, you can create a few different assets directly. Events is one of those. So if you need to create an event, you can just create that directly through the dashboard. The global search, I know there was a couple of questions that came through on Wednesday night about that. So the global search basically allows you to search for, if I type in A, search for members, organizations, products, or events. So that was one of the questions, is what are the terms you can search for in there. So events is included in that. If you want to find an event directly through the dashboard, you can just search for that. And you'll see I've literally just typed in A, and the search is giving me all the results based on that parameter. So you don't need to be precise with it in this system. It'll basically bring out anything that the term finds based on the string that you enter. Okay, over on the top right-hand side, again, I'll touch on GameDay community quickly. Really encourage you guys to have a look at GameDay community. The Join Now button allows you to register through to our mailing list, which basically gives you the ability to stay up to date and stay informed about product updates, benefits that we can offer, and things of that nature. And one of the brand new pieces of functionality, which actually we didn't talk about on Wednesday because it only got released this morning, if you can believe that, is GameDay Marketplace. And what this is a few other parts of our partner ecosystem. So we've got partnerships with a lot of different sports tech organizations around Australia and even overseas. So I won't touch on any of them in too much detail, but you can come here just to get more information on those partners and how they can help in the administration of sport as well. Again, the GameDay Help Center. So you can type in whatever you need to find. If you're getting stuck with something, if we want to figure out how to create an event, we type in create event and we'll get a list of articles that, if I go back, we can click into any of these articles and just see the step-by-step process straight from our Help Center. And then just in the top left-hand corner, or right-hand corner rather, just some general details, again, your account details, product updates, and online learning. So the e-learning is another one that we will send out as well, if we haven't already, to get you up to speed with all aspects of the system. Okay, so now that we've got a little bit of an overview, we'll jump into events in more detail. So what events allows you to do is create any self-contained sort of event registration process that you'd like to offer. Now you might be wondering what's the difference between creating a membership form and creating an event. Well, in context of sport and particularly little athletics, that might be things like holiday clinics. Typically, you might have camps and things like that, or a come and try day, or a sanctioned dinner even. Anything like that where you want to capture registrations or even payments, but that's not necessarily part of the membership offering. Another thing to note about events is that it's completely self-contained. So whatever center database that you're in, you'll have your own set of events. you won't need to worry about the sharing of events or anything like that from different levels of the hierarchy. So you'll have control over what events you want to offer through your database, and those registrations will come in straight through to your center database as well. So along the top here, you'll see events, event templates. So to touch on these elements very quickly, event templates allows you to create sort of blanket settings for each of your events. So if you don't want to go through every time and create new events with new settings, and if generally a cluster of events stay the same, they have the same sort of start date range, same sort of general settings, you can create a template for that. And the event display template allows you to adjust the look and feel to a certain degree as well. So I'll get into those in a little bit more detail. We'll start off with events. So I've created an event here. What you can do to create an event is just say create new event or create one from an existing template. What I'll do is I'll just show you the one that we've made here. Click edit. And if we continue to scroll down here, we've just got our event details, products and groups, questions and layout, messages and notifications, and then a publish section. So again, for anyone who was online with us on Wednesday night, you'll find that pretty familiar. It's the same sort of logic and the same sort of flow. So we'll start on event details. You can add your event logo. So that'll show up on your event front end. And I'll actually preface this by saying that rather than just having a form, as the membership sort of registration flow is, it's a form that you can log into. The events actually has a form and its own landing page. So your landing page will be sort of a front end website, if you will, which you can send out to the public or people that you'd like to register for the event, and you can surface all sorts of information on that landing page. So keep that in mind as we go through. I'll sort of explain where those elements come in, and then we'll have a look at a live landing page and a registration process. So we keep scrolling down. We give it a name, obviously, and a form name. So you can have the event name, and then you might want an independent form name. So the registration form might have a different name if you'd like. Your time zone. Now your event start date and end date. So a date and time range that you can apply to the event. So this is when the event's going to be run. So this will surface onto the landing page as well. You can see in this instance, we've just got it on the 1st of September, and it's running for 3 hours. So we've gone 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock. Obviously, completely up to you how that looks. If it's a camp or something like that, you might have it running across multiple days. You can have a product limit. So the product limit is going to be sort of a capacity on the amount of products overall that you'd like to be run through this event. So if you've got multiple products, keep in mind that that accounts for the product limit. So if you've got one person purchasing 2 products, that'll apply 2 to the product limit. So keep that in mind. But what you can also do is, and I'll get to this shortly, when you're setting up the products, you can give them capacities as well. So if you want a capacity limit on each of your individual products that you're offering, you might want to set that as no limit and then let the product capacity do the work there. So you've got a bit of flexibility there in terms of how you want to do that. Either of those settings, you can always set it to no limit if you don't really care how many registrations you get through. You can apply a gender filter. So if you want the event only applicable to males or females, you can do that. Your event category, this is more sort of for your reporting and stuff like that. You just assign it into a category and that'll come through in your reports. So how many programs and clinics am I running? These are pre-configured categories, but you've also got the other category down the bottom here if you're not satisfied with any of these. Show the event to all ages. So yes or no. If you select no, similar to what we've been through in membership, you can apply an age range, so minimum and maximum age. In this example, I've sort of set it up so that essentially this is only available for, you know, primary school age students or children. So the minimum age is 5, maximum 12, and then we've set it as a specific date of the 1st of September. So basically, in order to register, they'll need to be between 5 and 12 as of the 1st of September, which is our event date. We keep going down. The event content is going to be all the sort of main information that's going to feed onto your landing page. So when you generate that landing page, you'll be able to put in firstly a description of the event. So that might just be just a way of sort of explaining that event a little bit more. So we've just got, you know, welcome to the holiday clinic. This is what it entails. This is how you register, and just directing them to different parts of the page. So you'll get a feel for what that looks like in the context of the landing page shortly. Contact information. So if I'm an administrator, I want to ideally put my contact information onto the landing page so that people know, you know, who to send questions to and stuff like that. I've got the name, a number and an email address, and that'll all feed through to the landing page. You can put your website address on there as well. So that'll hyperlink through to whatever you put there. And just a venue name. For the sake of the demo, I've just said, let's have it at the SCG. And the event address, we can actually validate this address and it will generate a map of the location. So if I wanted to change that to, let's say, the MCG, just need to add that in there, and then the pin will update, and that also goes on the landing page as well. So you'll be able to surface that information. Let's change it back. Okay. Now you can also add sponsor logos. Sponsor logos, basically you'll just need an image file that you can upload here. So I've just got a PNG, our education partners, eTrainU. So if you've got, you know, a sponsor or a partner that you want to advertise as being a co-runner or a sponsor of the event, then you can do that. And then you've got some permissions as well. So your permissions are going to be, firstly, if you want to restrict the event to members only, you can say yes to that. So that'll say to the system, only let people that are in my membership database register to the event. And then you can allow guest registration as well if you want. So that basically means, you know, if someone doesn't have an account, a GameDay account, or doesn't have a membership with you, then you can just give them the ability to go through without creating an account. They'll still need to put in their general details, but they don't need to create an account. So that's the basic details. We'll hop into products and groups. So you'll see this is pretty similar to what we showed off on Wednesday night, but there's a little bit different in terms of how we've configured it. What I've done in this case, just to showcase a little bit of a different approach, I've got 4 products here. So each one's sort of an activity that the entrant can register into. We've got our price, we've got our availability dates, and we've got also a quantity limit. So that's what I was alluding to before. If you don't want a total product limit on the event, you can have a quantity limit on each product if you'd like to. So if you've only got so many spots available for the sprints activity, then you can assign that number to the product, and then only 50 people will be able to register to that. So what I've also done is I've created a group called Holiday Clinic Sessions. and I've assigned all the products into that group. So what that does is firstly, it groups them on the registration form. And what I've also done is I've set a rule which says only select, at least select one of these products. So it means that even though none of them are necessarily mandatory in their own right, we've assigned them to a group and we've said to the system, only allow them to select at least one before they can go through. So that makes one mandatory. It doesn't matter which one, they just need to select one. So we'll create a new event and we'll just show you how we can add that to the form and add it to the group. So we say create a new product. What I might do is I'll create a new one. We'll call it race walking. Again, this is going to look pretty similar to those that were online on Wednesday night. You've got a lot of the same sort of features here when you're creating your product, albeit there's a couple of little tweaks which I'll get to in a moment. So you give it a name first up and a description. So if you want to describe it a little bit more, that'll show on the front end for the entrant. So just explain a little bit about what that product is, what they're purchasing. We can give it a price. So we'll set that as 100. The payment option, so you can enforce it to be taken through the gateway only. And so what the gateway is basically the payment that's taken through the form. So that basically says to the system, don't let them register unless they've made a payment on the, at the time of registration, an online payment. Otherwise, you can allow it to be manually paid on the back end as an administrator. So you can allow it to still register through, still have the option to pay, but you can allow that to come through as unpaid and pay it off as an administrator. The available from and available to dates. So this is going to be when the product shows and when it hides from the form. So we set that to 1st of July, for example, to 31st of August. That means that there's a 2-month window where the product's going to show on the form. Before that date, it won't show, even if the form's available. And then likewise, after that date, the product's going to hide itself from the form. So those are automatic triggers that you can set up. Quantity limit. So I alluded to this before. Let's say 50. We've only got 50 slots available for race walking in this clinic. And then we've also got the option, if we need to set it to no limit if we want to do that. You can choose to allow the member to purchase it multiple times. So if you want them to be able to purchase the product multiple times, you can set that to yes if you want. In this instance, we're probably going to want that to be no, because it's just a single event entry. You can't really have multiple of those. But if you have a product with merchandise or something like that you want to offer, and you want them to be able to select a quantity, then you might want to set that to yes. And then you can also put a purchase limit for each product. So if you want, say you're allowing them to purchase it multiple times, but you don't want them to purchase it more than 4 times, for example, and we just type in 4 there. That way that the member can, or the entrant can purchase it multiple times, but they can't go more than 4. So we'll leave that as no. And then the status, we'll set it to active. Continue through. So I've got some display rules here, again, similar to membership. Now the member types are going to be fixed for the moment to event participant, but you can filter by the gender and the age. So that basically triggers the ability to show or hide the product based on these selections. So if you want it to be a male only or a female only product, you can do that. Just set it to male or female. That means that when they select male or female on the first page of the form, it'll dictate whether this product shows or not. Same thing with the age group. If we say no, you might want to make that, again, 5 to 12 years old. And make sure you sort of reference that with what you've got on your event settings as well, because you might also have a setting, or you'll have the ability to have a setting where the form might not actually be available for certain ages. So keep that in mind as well, but you've got the option to set it by product as well. And then we can set that to be a specific date, for example, 1st of September. And the conditional product functionality, you may or may not need to use this, but what this is you're making this dependent on another product. So what that means is you're showing or hiding this product based on whether this person already has an existing product, and we can select any product. So for argument's sake, let's just say cross country. You can say whether it must be paid first before showing. And what that rule does is it says to this product we're creating, don't show the product unless this person has the cross-country product already. And that'll reference back to the database. And the database will say, sorry, this person doesn't have cross-country against their record, so they won't see this product. So I'll set that to no for now. So all it is it's just available for people from 5 to 12 years old as of the 1st of September. Continue through. So then we just get the confirmation page. So just have a look at this, make sure it's all correct. And if anything's sort of not as it should be, you can go back and just amend those details if you need to. Otherwise, you click confirm and save that onto the form. So now you've got your list of products. What it's done is it's just added it straight to the form, but not necessarily into the group. So we can drag that and drop it into that group. And then that's going to also factor into this, this rule, which says you need to select at least one of these products. So to recap, we've got all our activities, we've got our prices. They need to select at least one, and these are the dates that they will show. You might want to stagger them if you want to, for whatever reason. And then each one has its own quantity limit. So that's products. If we head into questions and layout now, again, this is going to be familiar to you guys. You can create your own questions on the form. So this is going to be the layout that it shows in. You've got those same locked fields that appear on the first page of the form. And then you've got the ability to add your own questions down here. So to recap, you could add an existing question onto the form if you wanted to. So if I want to add a question here, you just click on it and it'll show on the bottom of the form. You can drag and drop that around if you need to as well. If you want to add a new question, you're not finding it in the existing questions, you might want to add a new question directly onto the form. So you have the ability to add a text field, which is a text entry field, and any text is allowed to be entered in there. A number field, so that verifies that a number is entered. A pick list is a list of responses, so only one response can be picked by the entrant in a pick list. A multiple choice, which is the same as a pick list but with multiple options, and the member can select multiple options out of that question. A date field, so that's going to be a standard date picker like your date of birth. Checkbox, self-explanatory. The terms and privacy policy, again, touched on this the other night, but you can add your own terms and conditions into events as well. You'll add your text in there. So whether that's a privacy policy or your terms and conditions, or something like a COVID requirements or something like that, then you can add that onto the form and then make it mandatory if you want to. And there'll be a checkbox to verify that they've read that. And document upload, again, that allows you to upload a document whether that's a proof of age or something like that. You know, anything that you need a copy of a document for, you can add that onto the form as well. And your content blocks are going to be your header and your paragraph blocks. So header might be something like, if we've got medical information, we might just say medical, just as a heading, just to be able to categorize it. You've got a bit of formatting as well. So your options there, make it bold, you can make it bigger if you want. We save it, add that onto the form. We might put that above allergies. And then if you've got more medical questions that you want to add there, you can sort of categorize them as you go. We'll click save. And the paragraph text block, you might want to just add a little bit more text as well. So this is an example here. The text block might just be explaining a field a little bit more. So under the home address, I've just put a text block saying, please double check that your address is correct before continuing, just to, you know, to safeguard against any mistakes. And there is a address validation on there as well. But that's just an example. You can put anything you want on there. So any piece of text that you want to explain something a little bit more, you can do that as well. I'll jump into messaging and notifications now. So what this is, same as membership, you can create your registration success message. So sending out a confirmation email. So that might be something like just reminding the details, any queries, contact this email address, things like that. A form welcome message. So the welcome message is the pop-up that appears on the front of the page as soon as they land on the page. So just explaining a little bit more about the registration process, what they need to do, how they need to enter their information, etc. And the form confirmation message is a pop-up which appears right at the end of the form as well. So before the success message, but once the form actually is completed, that will pop up. So the ticket and invoice, that's a newer piece of functionality and something that's unique to events. What that does is it generates a ticket which gets attached to the confirmation message or the confirmation email in a PDF form, and it actually embeds a QR code onto that email. So what that allows you to do is you can scan your QR code as an administrator, and then that data will transfer back into the database and say, yep, this person's attended the event. So everyone will get a QR code, and that, yeah, it just allows you to keep track of the attendance. Pretty important in this sort of day and age with the contact tracing and all that sort of stuff. So that can be done for every event. Then the invoice example, again, I touched on this the other night, but basically you can see what appears on the payment summary for each member, and what product they purchased and what the price was and the total. So the Publish tab, what you can do here is you can set up a subdomain for your landing page. That'll be the first thing that it prompts you to do when you land here. So I've just set it as September Clinic, and then that's our URL for the landing page. And you can just get to the landing page via this button here. You've also got a form link that gets generated there. So you can jump straight to the form if you like to. The form is attached to the landing page as well, which I'll show you in a moment. And then your publish settings. So the form status, you can either have a draft active or inactive. The form won't be accessible unless it's active. So you can set that, and you can also set activation and expiry dates. So similar to the product display dates and things like that, it's just an automatic trigger to say, as soon as it hits this date, show the form or allow the form to be used. And then you've got an expiry date as well, which takes it offline after that date. what I'll do now is I'll show you the landing page for this event. So this is what that looks like. I've done a little bit of look and feel work on it beforehand. So to show you how that works, in your event display template, you can basically customize the look and feel to a certain degree of the buttons and the color scheme that you've got on your landing page. You can also do that for your form. So it'll take those same settings, and you can see what that looks like from mobile as well, as opposed to desktop. The event background image, so I've set that up. I've just attached a JPEG image to that. And your color scheme is reflected here in the central container here as a preview. And what it'll actually do is, if I, for whatever reason, set that to be a bluish color, and it clashes with the button color, you can see, obviously you can't see the text there on the button. It says we've failed the contrast checker and we won't be able to continue. So a bit of a safeguard in making sure that people can actually see what you've got there. So if we're all passing the contrast checker, then we can save it. And you can see it's reflected on the form in the form of the background image and the button colors and that sort of thing. As far as the information that we've got on the landing page, you can see the left-hand corner up here, you've got the logo that we attached, the contact details up in the right-hand corner, and those also displayed down here as well. And then we've just got the event name and the date and the time of the event, just the date there, and a register now button as well. So that's how you can just get through straight to the form if you want. You can see the website address that we've attached there as well. That'll hyperlink through to that website. If we keep scrolling down, we can see a list of our products that we've added to the event. So that'll just jump straight through to the form as well. But if you go through via this avenue, whatever product you choose, it'll just automatically tick that box when you get to that stage. So it's a good way to sort of advertise what you're offering as a product and what your prices are and that sort of thing. Keep rolling down. The event information. So this is where we added the big description there, just to explain it a little bit more. You've got your registration form there as well. So a few different ways that you can access that. Sponsor logos will appear down here. Just got the One E-Train here for the moment, but the more you add, the more that'll just expand across the page. And right down the bottom, we've got the map finder as well. So over here, that gives you the key details. So the time and the date of the event, and then the venue as well. So that'll show just a Google Maps image with the map pin there. So it's a good way for entrants to figure out where they actually need to go. So I'll scroll back up. I can go through and register now. So now we're through to the form. So this is the registration form that will be attached to this event. So if I've got an account already, I just enter that in as the email and password. Otherwise, I can sign up, first name, last name, email, and just confirming a password. That'll just send an email out to the individual, and they can verify their email through the message that gets sent to their inbox, and then they'll be redirected back to the form. Important to note as well that this is the same login details that will be used for memberships. So if they've got the account, I'll just add mine in there. Continue on. And we get our confirmation, our welcome pop up there. You can close that off. You'll see that any linked participant via this GameDay account will show here, regardless of whether they're a previous member or previously have registered for an event. So those two elements are shared in terms of the GameDay account. And then if you select an existing member, then you can go through and attach the event record to the existing membership record. So you can see all that in one space, basically. So you just select your link participant, select a new participant as well if you want to do that, if you don't already exist. And if I select one down here, select myself, go next, you can see that my information has already pre-populated because I've selected my name. So this is the locked information. It will populate the name and the birth date, and then the gender, email, and mobile number. Again, it'll take that from the existing record and feed that automatically into those fields. We keep going. So we can see here our list of products. So you can see there the validation saying you must pick at least one product within this product group before you can continue. So let's just say register for sprints. And then we get to our at the body of our form. So any of the other questions that we've added onto the form there. We search the address. We've got an address validation there. Again, start typing in our address and we get a list of options there. You can see our text block showing there and our headers. So we'll continue through. Now it's just giving us a summary. So the summary is going to be just who are you registering, what are they registering for, and if you want to register another person on the back of that, you can do that. Go back to the start of the form, and again, you'll get that list of names. So they already exist. You can select them again as the second person. It'll give us our totals and a payment method to choose. So we've got PayPal, and we've got the credit card gateway, which includes Visa and MasterCard, Apple Pay, or Google Pay. We tick that, proceed to payment. Yes, I'd like to proceed. It'll take us through to the end where we submit our payment. So that allows, obviously, the live payment to be taken. You can go back, choose another way to pay if you want to. And then that's it. That's the registration done for them. You can also see the timer up there. That's something we touched on a little bit towards the end of the last session. There's always going to be a 15-minute timer, which basically reminds the registrant to finish their registration within that time limit. Otherwise, the session will refresh, and for security purposes, they'll go back to the start of the form. So if we go back to our database, the next thing I want to show you guys is how to manage the event from the back end. So if we go to this arrow over here in one of our events, we see the view option. So if we view that, we can see a little bit more information. So the event details, obviously you can just see what you've got there. You can change that around if you need to. We've got a listing of participants by product. So anyone that's come through the system via a registration for this event will be shown here, and you can see what product they've purchased, their order number, whether they've paid the product or not. And you can filter by specific products if you want to. So I just want to see who's registered for shot put and discus, and that'll filter accordingly. Now, if the products have been paid through a live payment, then you can also track their attendance via that QR code system. Now, they're all unpaid, so they're not showing here, but what that would look like is obviously the paid registrations will come through, and whether or not they've scanned their QR code or not, they'll show in this attendance tracking section here. So you can see our participants. You can see the QR code assigned, the QR code status, so whether it's still valid, the attendance status. So that is going to be the important one. So that by default will be set to no. And then once that scans in, or once you scan that in, it will change to yes, and it'll get a scan date and time. So you can basically track who's attended, and yeah, use that for attendance reporting and contact tracing or whatever it might be. Now, to actually scan those QR codes, as an administrator, you can do that through the GameDay mobile app. So the GameDay mobile app, it's a free app. It's available on Android and Apple devices. And what I'll do is I'll show you a quick video that we've put together that basically shows what GameDay event, how you basically scan that QR code through the app. So if we play that, hopefully you can see that. We can see we click through to GameDay. Down the bottom, we've got the events tab. And if you're an administrator, you'll see your event or a list of events, and then you can just scan the tickets. So that gives you the ability to open a scanner, scan that QR code, and then if it's successful, then you'll see that message. And that'll come through to the system as a valid attendance status. So the attendance status will change to yes. So that's a pretty handy way for physical events, at least, whenever those sort of start up again, being able to track that attendance through the GameDay app and feed that information through automatically to the database. So that's QR codes. The last component that I want to show you is the ability to create event templates. So this is going to be a sort of a similar process to creating events. But what you're doing is, before you create your events, you might want to create a template which applies blanket settings to a group of events. So we say, edit the existing template just to see what sort of settings you can apply. We give the template a name. We give it an earliest and latest start date and an earliest and latest end date. So basically, when you attach an event to this template, you're basically setting some rules and guidelines around what each setting should be. And that's verified and validated through the system. Again, gender filters if you want to create male only or female only events. Maximum and minimum participant limits. So you're saying to an event, if you're using this template, your participant limit needs to be between 1 and 1,000. You can also say no limit for that. Same thing with the age groups. If you have a group of events which all have, the same age validation, you'll want to set that in a template first, and then that saves you the work every time you want to create an event. And then just the other general user permissions as well. Same thing with products. That gives us that product screen again, which allows us to basically add a product which applies to multiple different events each time. So if we don't have an event like, if we don't have a product like that, we keep it blank. But if we've got something that applies to, say, 6 or 7 different products and it's always the same fee and it's always got the same settings, then we might want to add it to a template. Same thing with the questions and layout. You can add a specific question or a list of questions onto the template so that each event that uses the template always gets the same information carried across. And then you publish, you make it active. It does need to be active before it can actually be used. So keep that in mind. And what you can do then is if we go back back to events. We can create a new event, choose our template, we'll say holiday clinics, give it a name, and then your event start dates and times and your end dates and times. You can see that the settings that we've applied through the template are being taken into account. So that basically just applies, again, your blanket settings. If you create a template and a bunch of events are taking those same settings, then you might want to choose, rather than create new event, create the new event from the template. So it just saves you adding those consistent settings. So that is really the main end-to-end process that I wanted to walk you through. There's a bit of information there. But happy to take any questions now. Obviously, there's no doubt going to be a few in the chat. So I'll stop sharing here. And does anyone have any questions they want to ask directly? And Craig, I can see you've got your hand up.
I think that hand up, Rory, has been there for some time. Have seen some questions and a lot of comments coming through. I know, Rory, you haven't been obviously viewing the chat function as you've been presenting. Just letting all centres know and everyone on board know that this is an extra added capability to the GameDay process. It's not something that every centre needs to use or what have you. And while you're going to ask questions, this was a conference session that we had scheduled. I understand we're at a very late pointy end of the registration system. It was an overview. We're happy to work through it. As for those that were on Wednesday night, there will be manuals and resources coming to you guys. But we've got a lot of questions in the chat functions. I'll hand back over to Rory. Maybe some of the actual physical questions, not so much the comments, would be fantastic to come through.
And just on that, one of the questions, yes, the GameDay database will be linked to Timing Solutions, so you can still do your results. As one person mentioned, it's up to the zones. We will know, we'll find out a bit more about that, whether they'll be using this one or Timing Solutions to add your zone entries. But it is very good to use for presentations, AGM meetings, anything other that you've got there. Once you set up the template, it should be easy.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, just on that Timing Solutions one, we do still have that data feed, which was the same in the old platform. We fed the membership information through to Timing Solutions, and that'll be the same process in GameDay. So just going through a few of these comments. So if you set up a template for a gala day, for example, can it be used year after year? It can. You might want to just review the settings year on year, because obviously you can see you've got the availability dates on things like that. So probably worth reviewing if it's year on year, but you can use them really in any capacity that you like. Admin privileges for the GameDay app. So the GameDay app is free. You can download that via Android or Apple devices. So it'll be available on the Play Store or on the iTunes Store. And as far as admin privileges go, it'll recognize whether you're an admin in the center in GameDay. So for the QR scanning capabilities, basically, if you're an administrator in the center database, then it will feed that event information into your GameDay app. So when you log in with your same login details into the GameDay app, then you'll see the event information. You'll be able to use that scan function. So yeah, and I think someone said it already, but Trish will be able to sort you out with access to the system. Yeah, a couple more questions about administrators logging into GameDay. So again, Trish will be able to set you up. When will the issue regarding access dashboard going to be fixed, rather than saying you have successfully signed out? Yeah, don't have a specific timeline on that, but we're hoping in the next couple of days that'll be all sorted. So all it is really is affecting the reporting stats from coming through at the moment. So we're taking a look at that with our dev team, and hopefully Monday, Tuesday next week early, we'll be able to give you, or you'll be able to see that that's all been resolved. So checking the list of sports to follow on the app. So you won't really be able to see the athletics component of that, because when you're following a team or a club or something like that, that's more related to the comp side of things. So for the context of Little Athletics, the GameDay app would really only be used for events. It's not actually connected to a GameDay competitions module. That'd be a separate system. So that's all going through a system called Passport, which is separate to GameDay, rather than, I think it's Timing Solutions that does most of that competition information for Little Athletics. So just worth remembering, when you're downloading the GameDay app, it's really only to be used for events and QR scanning at this point in time. Yeah, can you create free products or events? Absolutely. Really, it's just as simple as setting the price to 0. So in all the demonstrations, we've basically been setting prices $50 or $100 or something like that. And yeah, it's just a matter of setting it to 0, and then it won't prompt the member or the entrant to enter a credit card or pay for that through a live gateway. Just downloaded the app. How do we get our club on there? So again, that you'll need to get access to GameDay first, and then when you start creating events, your events will feed through, but it's not actually connected to a competition platform that you guys are using. So it'll just be the events that you guys see.
Rory, I think the uniform question's popped up a few times. Are you able to incorporate uniform sales in GameDay?
Yeah, you can if you want to. I mean, it depends if, it won't incorporate, obviously, the ability to fulfill that data or anything like that. But if you wanted to, absolutely, you could create a new product for the uniform, and you could say that, anyone registering to this event gets the option to choose a uniform if they want, or if you want to make it mandatory, you can do that as well. But that'd really just be a matter of setting up a new product and attaching it to the event form. So you might have, as we saw today, you might have products set up for $50 for each different activity of a clinic or something like that. But then on top of that, you can create an additional product saying uniform purchase, set the price to whatever you want, and maybe make it optional so that it's more of an add-on rather than an actual event product. So yeah, absolutely, you can do that.
Fantastic, Rory. Thank you so much for your time tonight and Wednesday night, and it will be ongoing, I'm sure. Just to answer a couple of the questions from my end about ongoing training and sessions about the operations behind the Red Shows. Yes, we're compiling a video, hopefully to get out to everyone shortly, just with a simple, practical, step-by-step process. Rory, again, thank you. We'll leave it there. We will answer everybody's.
Rebecca, just so the centres, those centres who don't have access, if one person's already got the access, they can easily add you. But if I add you, which I'll be doing over tonight or probably tomorrow, you will receive an automated email that will give you access to log in. So just let me know by Monday if you haven't received anything on the weekend. Thank you.
Thanks, Trish. We'll leave the chat function open for a couple of minutes to put all the questions down that you'd like answered. We'll compile a document and send it out to you. Some of you may have received already the Q&As from Wednesday's workshop. They will be made available online as well, as will all sessions that we were going to go ahead with conference that are now online sessions. They can be found on the YouTube channel. If you can't find them, then we'll send a link. There's a newsletter going out to centres shortly with the links in that also. So just check out the newsletter when it comes through. Any dramas or problems, Trish, I and Emily are available. Shoot us an email. We are working remotely. We do have a limited access to telephones and what have you. In our email signatures of recent, you'll see the direct lines that we've been set up with. So thank you for your time on a Friday night. Thank you again to Rory and everyone. I hope that you stay safe, have a good weekend, and stay at home. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Rory.